Amazon, Skybox cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USBTO, tuần theo linh thêm, tuần trên Scout, logistics và warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.
In this video, I'm going to try to highlight the majority of the point and click operations and just kind of help you navigate around the tool. We haven't really spent a lot of time on the Adtactix dashboard yet. I'm going to save that for its own video, but this video is going to focus mainly on your sponsored products, brands, and display tabs, along with the optimized PPC menu, which houses most of the point and click filters. There's a few of them here under wasted ad spend at the top for the dupe checker and the poor performers. But those are going to pertain mostly to wasted ad spend. We'll touch on those in this video as well. And then we'll save the other wasted ad spend, search term report stuff, bulk negate tool. That'll have its own video. So over here on the right, I'm going to show you all of the bulk ops quick filters. We're going to go over the top performers. I mentioned the poor performers, dupe checker. There's some quick navigation features as well as some quick sort options on the labs tab that can help you navigate around pretty efficiently. So first off, I'll mention in order to execute any of these things I'm going to be talking about in this video, you do need to be in the as sync state with your products, brands, and display campaign files. So again, to do that, you can review this import data SOP, and it'll talk about how to get that bulk ops file into your into Adtactix, and then you would just sync all your data here with this button, and then it gets you into this state after that operation is over with. So with that though, you'd have everything kind of organized in this fashion, and then you're good to go as far as optimizing your bids. If you want to run through these 3 steps, which I've already had a video that goes over those. But for the bid override table, that's also in this section. That's more pertaining again to managing bids. So there's nothing really here pertaining to your bulk sheets. But from there on, all of these filters really are used on either this sheet here, your sponsored brand sheet, which again is just all of your sponsored brand campaigns, and then you've got your sponsored display as well. All of these would be already initialized and ready to use any of these kind of quick sort features. Most of these will work depending on whichever active sheet you're on. There's a very few that are only sponsored product based operations. These 2 down at the bottom are kind of search and navigation features, and they just work on your sponsored products, but I'll try to touch on the main ones here. We do have the SOPs and kind of glossary for your bulk sheet actions. So you can click on this and it's going to expand out a slide out menu. The training video you're watching right now will be available here as well when you click on this video training. This is going to show you just a definition of each one of them, and then any like important information or most frequently used type of operations along with each of these quick actions. So you can just kind of see some screenshots and you can get an idea what each one does. But I'm going to walk through each one of these real quick and just kind of show you some examples. So first off, let's hop up into review bid changes. Okay, so review bid changes, you would have already wanted to optimize your bids. So you can see in this file right here, I've got the original bid in column AE, but I don't have an optimized bid yet in column AF. So let's pretend now I don't want to change anything. I'm good to go. I just want to make some kind of fine-tune adjustments to my bids, and then that'll give us the column we need here to review our bids, which is the main whole point of this. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click sponsored products, and I'm just going to do the sponsored products file here for this example. I'm going to hit Apex formula. All right, so you can see now we've got our optimized bid, and now if we want to review the bids, and the stage you would do this at would be after you've optimized your bids and right before you export your completed files to Google Drive in order to upload it back to Campaign Manager. You would want to potentially review your bids by clicking this button here. You'll see a new column is going to expand out here on the left, and it's going to be called bid change. And what it does, it takes a subtraction between your new bid and your original bid, and then it actually sorts it. So the top bid is going to be the one that's dropped the most, and then the one at the bottom of the page is going to be the one that's increased the most. So you can just use that, and you can actually filter out the ones as well if you filter out the zeros. So that'll take any of the ones that didn't change at all if you want to see those right there. So you can remove those as well. And then that's going to show you just everything that's changed if you want to just do a quick review and double check things. So just know that that's there and that's what it does. The next one is show missing bids. So before I hit that, I'm gonna hit this clear all filter button. And I like to hit this anytime I've already got a pre-sorted kind of operation going. This just resets everything to the default state. It's going to show you every row in your original bulk file in the original order. So that's really the whole point of that operation. And that one runs pretty quick. So you can see there it's back to the original state. It does keep this review bid column exposed. If you want to hide it and you don't want to see it anymore, you can always hit hide column. So the next one here is show missing bids. So this is a pretty important one when you're first getting started using Adtactix. If you have targets that you've built campaigns in Campaign Manager, especially like automatic campaigns or any campaigns for that matter, where you didn't assign a target level bid and you instead defaulted back to the ad group level bid, when you download your bulk file, you're actually not going to have a target level bid for those targets. And the important thing there to note is none of the formula-based optimizations are going to work without a target level bid. So you want to click that filter on your initial import and just kind of check to see if you have any of these that are meeting this condition. And if you do, just hit Control-C from your ad group level bid and then paste that guy into your target level bid, which is AE. And then any operations from then on will use that target level bid in order to calculate your new bid. So you can see we didn't have any new bid here because those were blank. So hopefully that makes sense. That's a step that you want to do right from the beginning, and that's included in our manage bids SOP. You'll see that as being one of the early steps you need to do just to ensure that everything's kind of good to go. And then upon that first upload, when you export it, because you kind of mainly copied and pasted that information in there, it's going to be in there to update your campaigns. And then from then on, you're good to go. So just know that that's kind of the deal there. Whenever the clear all filters, enable targets, you will have seen this filter being used if you watch the kind of quick start training. This one will take any of your active sheets you're on. It's going to remove any paused, archived rows. It's only going to show the target level rows, so your keywords or your product ASIN targeting. Then it's going to actually sort your entire list by orders. So you can see if I scroll up to the top, I've got 197 orders on this one ASIN targeting, product targeting campaign, then so on and so forth. So this is a good one to use for kind of your Pareto analysis. Another thing you can do right from here is if you don't like orders, you could just sort of Z-Day by spend. The cost per acquisition, this is actually a custom formula that we run during the sync process, which is, I keep calling the sync process this if I refer to that. And then cost per acquisition is going to be your spend over your orders. So it tells you kind of the cost per order across all your targets. So that can be useful to sort by as well. But just know that that filter is pretty powerful for identifying what's doing well in your account really quickly. And then in that SOP here, I actually review how to do kind of a Pareto analysis and then pick off the top performers, put them on your bid override table. That's kind of a good way in general to get started with understanding what's working on your account. Enabled campaigns, likewise with the enabled targets, it's just going to show us at the campaign level all of the campaigns that are currently active, and then it's going to sort it by orders as well. So you can see it's doing that. It's going to remove any paused ones. So this can be useful if you want to set campaign level overrides on the bid override table by grabbing the campaign name. You can do different things with renaming campaigns. So there's actually a edit mode here. I'll skip down to this one just because it's a little more applicable in this state. So you can see here it expands our portfolio ID and our campaign name. In case we want to change those on the fly, you can actually change this text. So you've got kind of a before here and an after here in yellow. And then when we upload that, that new text is going to be the new text the next time you download the file. Similarly with the portfolio IDs, you've got your portfolio tab down here at the bottom with the numerical IDs corresponding to each of your text-based portfolio names. Keep in mind, if you use portfolio overrides on the bid override table, let's pretend this one's a portfolio override. I'd tag that as portfolio. And then in the override cell here, if you hover over this, you can see it's actually the portfolio name, not the numerical ID. But the numerical ID, what's important there is if you wanted to reassign portfolios using your bulk file, you can do that really quickly just by taking another one of these numerical IDs and overriding it in this yellow portfolio ID column here for whichever ones you wanted to use. And it's not letting me, there we go. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can just change those, and then when you upload your file, the next time you import a file, you'll see that those portfolios have kind of switched. Add percent of sales. So this will take we've got two different options, your percent of your total targets, or it'll look at the percentage of each ASIN independently if you have single ASIN campaigns set up. So I'm just going to do both of them here as a quick example. So this is going to give us a percentage in a new column that's going to slide out here on the left, and it's going to tell us of the entire total targets that we're targeting right now, which one has the highest percentage all the way down to the lowest percentage. So that's really the key here. So if you see, we scroll up to the top, you've got 11.4 here. And then if I actually highlight this E column, you'll see down here, it sums up to 100%. So you can just really get at a glance an idea of, from a total sales standpoint, which targets are contributing accordingly. All right, and then if we run the other one, that's going to give us on an ASIN by ASIN breakdown. So let's do of each ASIN, and that's just going to overwrite this column with the new percentage information. And then you've got this column AM over here, which actually gives you your ASINs associated with each campaign. Now, you keep in mind you could have multi-ASIN structured campaigns set up, so it gets a little bit messier with that, but let me just pick one that's not a multi-ASIN, and let's see if we've got any here. So I'm going to clear that, and you can see there's one there, there's one here. Let's try this one, see if we've got multiple keywords. All right, so it looks like we do. Now if we click on this guy, you can see 100%. So that's the idea. You can just really quickly go to that single ASIN and say, okay, I want to know the keywords that are in the top, whatever, 80% that are doing well, and then you can see over here it kind of correlates to the orders as well, but that's just in a percentage of sales again. All right, so that is that. Edit mode, we went over that. More filters. These are some filters that you may use, usually not quite as frequent, but let's pretend we want to see all our single keyword campaign targets. Just with the click of one button, we can click that. You can see over here with the keyword count, that actually gives you the number of active keywords in each active campaign, and then it's going to remove all the rows except our keyword and ASIN targeting, and you can see everything here is equal to 1. So that can be really useful. Now I'm going to go over here towards the end how to use the labs tab, but one common application for this as well is if you want to see all the campaigns you currently have set up as single keyword campaigns, and then let's pretend any you have structured as non-single keyword campaigns and you want to potentially pause those, you could use this feature and actually copy the campaign names here from this column and then go over to your labs tab, and then you paste that list of campaigns right here. And then there's some features. I'll do a short example towards the end, but there's some options here where you can see show not on list. So if I click show not on list with that campaign list here, it would show everything that's not in a single keyword campaign, and then I could potentially pause those at the campaign or target level or whatever you wanted to do. So there's a lot of different kind of applications just depending on kind of what your strategy and what you're trying to do is, and you can usually accommodate it with this labs tab and then some of these quick filters. All right, so we've got multi-ASIN campaign targets. I'm not going to do that. It literally is just the reverse of your single keyword campaign targets. Bid override table campaigns. So what that one does, it's just going to look and see all of the information you have here on your bid override table. Then if we click this more details, you've got the campaign names listed here in column AE. It's going to show us all of the rows associated with these campaigns if we click on that filter. So that can be useful if you want to use this view to reassign campaign budgets. You can also do that from the bid override table, but sometimes there's just reasons why you'd want to see just all the campaigns associated with what's on the bid override table. So that's kind of the application of this script. So you can see it's giving us all the rows. It's giving us placement, ad group, keyword, so on and so forth. All right, so that's that. And then you've got paused target campaigns. So this one's going to show us all of our campaigns that have all of the lower targets paused. So the idea there is you could clean up your account if you've over time paused all of the targets in a campaign and there's really no use in running that campaign anymore. So you can figure out what all of those are, and then similarly how I showed before, you could potentially grab the campaign names here, put those on the labs tab, and then you could use this campaign quick sort list if you want to kind of break things out even further, because this one's just showing you at the campaign level what those campaigns are. So you can see the entities set to campaign. If we use the campaign quick sort, it's going to show us everything associated with these campaigns. All right, so that is those. Now let's talk about the top targets. So the top targets and those other kind of quick filters based on the performers, you go back to the settings tab and you can see this custom bulk filter section. You've got top targets, you've got top placements, you've got top CVR. There's also, if we had our search term reports in here, there's some options for, I'm sorry, not search term report, search term impression share report. There's some options here to use your search term impression rank along with your conversion rates and ACoS to run some filters, but I actually don't have that imported right now, so we'll skip that one. But top targets, for example, let's pretend I want to see anything with over 3 orders and less than 45% ACoS. I would just hop over to whichever sheet I want to see those on and come up here and then click top targets. You can do all of these filters with the filter options up here. It's just kind of a multi-tiered filter that with the click of one button, you can just do it as kind of a preset. So that's kind of the idea alongside these filters. All right, so that's showing us all of those now. So you can see we have anything over 3 orders, and then with the ACoS, I think it was less than 45%. So this would be an application if you want to use to work into your SOP where you're going to say, you know, every time I'm going to look for this criteria, and if there's any new ones, I'm going to put them on the bid override table and keep a closer eye on them. So that's kind of the idea there. All right, so next up we have the top placements. So you got top of search or product pages. So if we go back to our settings tab here, we can set our criteria for both of these right here. So let's pretend we want to see anything for top of search that's performing 2 times better than the second highest placement, which is going to be product pages, and has more than at least 10 orders. Let's see if there's any that meet that. All right, so we're just going to go over to sponsored product campaigns, and then we're going to hit top placements, top of search. All right, so this view, it's actually just going to show us the top of search rows, which is the bidding adjustment row, if there's any that meet this criteria. So you can see we've got actually quite a few. So what this means is for these campaigns, our top of search is performing 2 times better than the product pages, and this top of search has over, as you can see, 10 orders. So what you could do in this case, if we wanted to, for example, see also the product pages and the targets that are within these campaigns, a bit of advanced technique is copy the campaign names, and this will illustrate the Labs tab quick sorting functionality. But because basically you can't within a Google Sheet filter like here, the only way you can select multiple campaigns and kind of see dynamic rows associated with these inputs is manually go through this list and kind of check each one, which isn't efficient. So that's where these quick sort fields come into play. And you can do this by portfolio names. You can do the column A, which is your target level override column, or you can use campaign names. So you can see we've got some in here right now. I'm just going to delete those first. All right, and then you're going to hit Control-Shift-V to paste in the values. All right, and then you're going to hit Labs, Campaign Quick Sort, Sponsor Products, and now we could show Not on List, which would show us all the campaign and associated rows for the campaigns that are not on our list here. If we hit Show on List, this is going to hop back over to our Sponsored Products file, and instead of the bidding adjustment rows only, it's going to show us all of the rows associated with the campaigns there that we copied over. So, and if you recall, those were just the campaigns that met our placement top of search criteria. All right, so now you can go down through and see both the product pages and the top of search if you want, and you can see like this one's 37 verse 4. You've got 30 verse 7, you've got 60 verse 1, 16 verse 3. So that's just an application of how you can use some of the quick filters along with the Labs tab in order to navigate around the sheets. And then likewise, if we had our search term impression share, if we had that file imported, we'd also have the ability to check the ad visibility based on that search term impression share rank field that would get kind of incorporated into here, but we don't have that data into this one, so I'm not going to run through that one. The Labs tab, I briefly went over some examples there. One other example on the Labs tab that is sometimes common is, let's pretend that we've got a series of portfolios here, and for whatever reason we want to take, let's see if we have one here. So some sponsored product exact portfolios, and we want to reassign them to something more segmented. So like say exact high search volume or something like that. First off, in order to add a portfolio, you do need to add that in Campaign Manager first. And then after you've added that in Campaign Manager and kind of named it, when you download your next bulk file, this Portfolios tab will have that new ID in there. But let's say we want to just take let's say this. Let's say there's some sponsored product exact targets and sponsored product phrase targets that we want to adjust the portfolio IDs based on search volume instead of kind of match type, which it looks like it's going on right here. So what we could do is, to see both of these portfolios, is just copy these. Actually, the names is what you would want. All right, so you'd copy those, you'd come over here, and instead of the campaign names, we're going to use the portfolio names right now. So just Control-Shift-V, then we're going to come up here, go to Labs, go to Portfolio Quick Sort, and we want to see everything that's on our list. All right, so hit yes, and now it's going to sort and kind of filter things and just show us the portfolios that are on this list. Now, an easier way for this one would have just been to select both of them, but let's pretend you had, I don't know, a ton of portfolios and you wanted to choose 5 of them or something. Then it's a lot faster to just use that list in order to kind of segment down like this. All right, so from there, you could find that portfolio and then you could edit the name via this edit mode. That's one way you could do it. So this will slide out our portfolio ID, and then all we would do is reallocate or adjust this number then to be the new number that we want it to be based on, you know, a new portfolio we come up with or whatever. So lastly, these navigation fields down here towards the bottom. So I don't have the search term report input right now, but what this one does is you basically would find, usually it's better in a broad target, but you find the target in the sponsored products campaign sheet, and you know, you've got all your target level rows. So if I just sort these for either campaign or product targeting, because I did my my exact portfolio before this, I don't have any product targets, but so any phrase, let's say, those potentially would have other search terms other than the term that we're targeting right now, firing, and showing up in our search term report. So what you can do is you can click on this row that has that keyword in it, and then you can click on this button here, and it's going to hop over to your search term report, your sponsored product search term report, and then it's going to show all of the search terms that were searched for and fired off and have ad spend against that keyword. So that can just be an easy way to drill into research-based targets, like, you know, your broad phrase is usually the main applications, and see all of the associated keywords or search terms rather that have ad spend against them. All right, and then lastly is a way to quickly find or jump to any of these targets that you have as set as target level override. So what you would do is click on the column J row for whichever target you want to, and again, the target's over here, so you can see girl Fitbits for kids. It's in this broad campaign. So if we click on here and then go up to optimize PPC, that's going to find that girl Fitbits for kids, and you can see girl Fitbits for kids right there, and it's in that broad campaign. So that can be helpful if you want to go and for whatever reason maybe edit the campaign budget or placements, and you want to do kind of everything in the bulk file. That's a quick way you can get to that. All right, let me hop over and see what I'm leaving out here. We haven't gone over the dupe checker or poor performers. I think we've hit everything else, so let's do those two really quick. All right, so these filters are actually in our wasted ad spend. You can see at the top, bulk sheet actions. The dupe checker, if we click on this guy, this one is going to check for any keyword cannibalism where we've got the same keyword in the same match type for the same ASIN that we are potentially bidding on ourselves twice. So you can see here we've got a couple of examples. Looks like these are ASIN targeting though. So no like broad phrase or exact duplication here, but you can see we do have the same. It looks like these are multi-ASIN campaigns as well. Usually the application that would come up would be if you had a single ASIN campaign and you've accidentally launched additional campaigns where you've duplicated the keyword. In this case, you can see this is a dummy file, but you can see we've got the same ASIN targeted in both of these product ASIN targeting campaigns for the same ASIN. So in this case, you would just pause one of them. So it's literally just change the state field for one of them for both of these campaigns to paused. And then that's going to only have, one instance of each of those keywords being targeted. All right. So the other one is, this one's a very powerful filter. It's one of the kind of most important ones in all of Adtactix. So what this is going to do, it's going to take your poor performer criteria, which is the same here you can see as the Stoptimizer limits. Stoptimizer pertains to our search term report, bulk negation operation we can run on that, but it also pertains to that poor performers filter. So that's what that means in parentheses. But essentially you can set either of these three kind of quick filters of things that Amazon just really doesn't like, and you shouldn't like either because it's really just causing wasted ad spend on your account. So a lot of impressions with a bad click-through rate, a lot of spend with no orders, a lot of clicks with no orders. So you can set whatever criteria makes sense for your account here. And then also where this may come into play is if you're using the bid override table and you like to set it up in a way where you test a lot of new keywords, maybe throughout the month or whatever. And a good thing to do and a good strategy is to write in here if they're new, or you can call them testing campaigns, whatever. But if they come out of the gate and do well, they'll have conversions. But if they're not doing well right out of the gate, you may want to decide to pause them or keep a close eye on them. And depending on that criteria you set in your poor performers, it's going to get flagged when it hits those limits in this filter if that's one of your strategies. So basically what you can do, you can run this filter for all the sheets, so products, brands, and display with this all sheets filter, or you can just run it on the active sheet by clicking this button here, and you'll see it's going to reset my bulk file, and then it's going to run the filter, and anything that is displayed when this filter is done basically means that you've got these targets active and they're just not doing well. So you can see no orders. Some of these are, that one maybe is for the spend threshold. We've got some with bad click-through rate and high impressions. So what you would do here is manually look at them and say, are these keywords relevant? Do I want to keep running them? If not, you can just decide to pause them by changing the state field to paused. And then when you upload this file to your bulk file, those targets will be paused. So it's just a way you can, again, kind of iteratively find the poor performers really early, when they meet a certain criteria threshold that you specify. All right, so I'm going to end this one here. It's been a little longer than I wanted, but hopefully it gives you a good summary overview of some of the bulk action kind of point and click features of Adtactix. So I'll see you on the next one.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon. Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USBTO, từ thay lên thêm, từ trên DịCH, logistics và warehouse. Xem thêm thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.